Should I have tea or should I have coffee? Should I have bread or should I have chapati? We all make this. How should I go to a school, college today? By rail or walking or by train? You have choices to make. Now these are all very regular and something which you do naturally. And then there are certain stages in your life where you have to make key choices. One you have just made a few months back, when you have chose whether to go for arts, science or commerce. You have to make a choice depending on the percentage and what you had in mind. You have planned your career in a way to say, and you have gone ahead with it. Okay? So you see over here, each one of us has different goals. I just spoke to you about your career, but now you'll have a choice of your job to make or your further studies. Then when you get married, then the person you get married to, then the children, and so on and so forth. There are so many choices to make, whether you will become a priest or not. It's all about choices. Here I have this wheel that I would say, where we have different choices or different goals in our life. Some of you must have made up your mind, I am going to have a lot of money. I am going to make a lot of money. So your focus is on that financial side. Your focus is on the financial side. Some of you will be saying, I'll be more a homely person, and so your focus will be only family. Some of you may have said, I want to be the party guy. Party on my mind, whole day and night. Everybody should invite me for the party. I want to be the hero, the center of attraction of the party. And so your focus will be on the social side. Some of you will say, I want to work hard and rise to the top. And so your focus will be on work. Now if you notice that this is a wheel, and if you take any one segment and pursue it, this wheel no longer remains a wheel. It will make khadak, khadak, khadak sound. And so the life fails. Okay, so we have a wheel which is no longer a wheel, but a very inappropriate thing, and our focus becomes that. And whenever you focus on something, if you say your focus is on finance, you will lose out on family, you will lose out on your social life, and even physically you will weaken yourself. I have this cuttings from the newspaper which appeared in various newspapers over the last few years. One was this child, 16-year-old girl from Calcutta, and she went for a dance on the TV show. And the judge just said, you didn't dance properly, and something, that girl went into coma. Here was this man, Bacha, who was caught in the 2G scam. He wanted to be the world's richest. And you see a newspaper full of everybody wants to be rich, but their own ways. It's a choice. It's a choice they have to make. Here was another one who rose very quickly to the top. Mr. Ranjan Das, 42 years of age, he became the CEO of a company, and his ticket was gone. He blew his whistle off. Here you see another guy, he wanted to be a muscle man. He wanted to have all his biceps and triceps bulging, and he took steroids, and he lost his life. Just yesterday we were discussing of another youth. We were watching cricket yesterday, and that guy had tattooed himself, Mitchell Johnson. He had a big tattoo on his right, and we were just thinking about one of the boys we knew. This guy, he tattooed himself entirely on his body. He tattooed himself on his body, and then he had a call to go on the ship. And when he went on the ship, those tattoos wounds started festering. It started paining him. And once you're on the ship, you cannot get down for 6 months. And so this guy started taking painkillers. He was taking two painkillers to kill that pain because of the tattoos that he had put on his entire body. And he succumbed to those wounds and those pain-killing tablets. He lost his life, 21 or 23 years of age. Young boy lost his life. All a matter of choice. All a matter of choice. It's all up to you. Yeah, Nancy? This is something I shared with you in the morning. We have God who has a particular plan for our lives, Jeremiah 29:11, and we as men have made plans for our lives. We are on our own tracks. We are trying to do our own things. Can you open your Bibles to Revelations 3:17? The last book of the Bible, Revelations 3:17. Last book, very easy, just scroll through the last page. Okay, you got it? Yeah. Revelations chapter 3 verse 17. Please read. Read it loud, slowly.
Rich people who see a brother or sister in need, yet close their...
I think you're wrong. It's chapter 3, verse 8. Is it 1:7? Okay.
Rich people who see a brother or sister in need.
You're not somebody else? Anybody got it? Revelation chapter 3, verse 17. What we take it?
You say I'm rich.
You say I am rich.
I'm well off.
I am well off.
I have all I need.
I have all I need.
But you do not know how miserable and
But
pitiful
you do not know how miserable and pitiable you are. You are a wretched. One verse Bible translation says you are wretched.
You are poor, naked.
You are
and
poor and naked.
blind.
Blind.
I advise you.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so here you see the Bible telling us clearly, man, you think no end of yourself. You think I know everything. I have worked out everything. I have everything I need. I don't need anybody. But this is what God tells us. You are wretched, pitiable, poor, and naked. So this is very clear to each one of us. So we have these different plans, and you see what happens of our life is exactly like these tracks. Is exactly like these tracks. Nothing matches, and everything is lost. Okay, I came across this line in a hospital one day. I do not believe in making the right decision. I take a decision and make it right. I take a decision and make it right. Okay? You see, this person was none other than Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who made this statement. He says, I do not wait and I just take the decision and then I beat myself up to make sure that this decision what I've taken is right. And this is what most of us are doing. We think we are doing the right thing. And this is how we behave. And this causes a lot of problems in our lives. Now when we see this, now we have choices. And each choice leads only to two results. One is success and the other is, hello? Failure. One is success and the other is failure. How many of you want to be a failure? How many of you want to be successful? Only little if you want to be, you can raise your hands here. Okay? We all want to be successful. And here how do we make these choices? Some of us are very gutsy guys. You know, on the spur of the moment, impulsive. We walked into a store, saw a mobile, picked it up. Whether it is good, it has what you require, no. I just bought it, I liked it. When I saw it outside, I picked it up. So gut feeling, impulsive. Some of us will weigh the pros and the cons. What is the good of that? What is the bad of that? And then we see if the bad outweighs the good, we stop from it. But if the good is really high, then we go for it. And the third one, we have no other option. I had no other option. And this is for, when we come to a stage of life and nothing is working out, we think the only option we have is to give up our lives. Friends, whatever be the choice can be seen on the outside, as you will see over here. Our choices are revealed in the actions. Whatever, you can see that person's behavior and everything. All decisions, whenever you have to take, create a kind of stress in you. Will it work out? Or will it not? And so you see over here, the stress affects our mind. There's lack of confidence, then when the decision doesn't go in our favor, then we start worrying, we get worried about it, we lose our sleep. Finally, it affects our body. Then we are restless and our eyes are tired, we cannot concentrate. All kinds of things start happening in our lives. And finally, we see that in the behavior. You can see the person. Now, how do we know? Many of us, we can find out who's on drugs. We can make out right on the face how a person who is involved in drugs look like. So you can see this person. You can find out the person is sleepless. Looking at the person's face, God has given me the gift. I can identify what is going on in that person. You can see from the face. The face is a reflection of what's going on the inside. Some of us have this habit of always having a sad face. Sad face. And you know what's going on in the person inside. Okay? So, how do we make choices? We will come to that. I've not put this up on the slides, but there was this case of a girl whom I know, and she was a very pretty looking girl. She was 19 years of age, and she had come down from the Gulf. And there she was, she fell in love with a boy. And her parents tried their best to break up this relationship. This girl wouldn't give up. She was very intelligent. She knew everything. She was, if you look at her, you would really feel she's really good. She's really intelligent. She knew everything. She knew her stuff. And she was adamant. She refused to listen to her parents. And at the age of 19, she was married to that boy. And she was married to the boy, and that was the beginning of their marriage. He started drinking and he started beating her. And in that midst, she conceived. And she thought with the coming of this baby, things will improve, things will get better. And what happened was, when the child was born, this man started taking cigarette butts, lit ones, and started putting it on the baby. So much so, the mother had to walk out with that baby from that house. At the age of 20, she was left with a baggage. Nobody to look at her. It was her choice. She thought he was the right guy for her, and he took it. Yet another case that happened recently, a girl was married, was going to get married, and she was... they went for a guy who was educated, and he was an engineer, well educated, working in a fantastic company, and everything was fixed for the wedding. And then, there's the tradition that happens where the girl takes her bag and a jewelry to show it at the boy's place. And this girl took this baggage of her entire family, and they showed everything. They showed the jewelry, and then when they were packing up, the boy said, "Leave the jewelry behind. Leave the jewelry behind." The parents were said, "No, we have to take it. We need it for the wedding." He said, "Nothing, will you leave it behind?" He said nothing. They took the jewelry back. 2 days before the wedding, they called off the wedding. Okay? So you see, we think we know best. I know it. And that's where all the problem comes. So now what is driving this free will of us? And there are two things, and I want you to understand this. So this is our heart. That is our spiritual heart, and there are sections to it. So one side we have the mind, and the other side we have the heart. And these two, okay, what do we do with our minds? What do we do with our minds? Hello? We think, okay? With our minds, we think. Right now you're listening to me and you're processing what I am saying. You're looking around, you know what's happening. You're having a book, you've opened a page, you're just looking at it. So it's in your mind. Then there is the emotions. With your emotions, you feel. Today I'm feeling good. Today I'm feeling sad. Today I'm feeling hurt. This all comes from these two areas. And these two areas directly affect your choices. Okay, they directly. So you see these arrows that are coming. So what is going on in your mind affects you and drives you. Some of you may say, "Oh, we met a girl, Trent shared it, but I'll still share it with you." This girl, she was in school, and she said, "My friends have thrown me out of their clique." Why? Because I don't have a boyfriend. Okay? So they expect that everybody should have a boyfriend by 9th standard, 10th standard. So they had thrown out. We said, "Praise God, you don't have it. You're saved. Best thing for you to happen." So she was feeling lonely and sad. Her emotions were hurt because of what her friends were doing. Some of us are looking at our friends. Right now, even as I'm speaking, you're all looking at your friends as if they are going to be the savior for your life. Okay, you're looking at your friends. And what your friends are doing, you are doing. Okay, so that is what is happening in your mind. Accordingly, your choices. You are not interested. Touching your head, or putting a hand back, or going to sleep. That is your choice. Okay, so you see how the mind and the emotions affect your will and the choices you make. Matthew chapter 6, 22-23 has something to tell us. How the mind and the emotions are affected. The eye is the lamp of the body. These two batatas that we have, they are the lamp of the body. Everything goes in through these two eyes God has given us. Take a check for yourself and think whether I'm saying the right thing or the wrong thing. Everything gets into our minds, and we say seeing is believing. So what we see, we believe and we put into practice. I like that ad that comes up on Samsung where this guy comes up, takes a pen, and on the board he writes, what does he write? 0% processing fee. Then what? 0% down payment, 0% interest. What happens next? All the chairs are empty. So you see how what we see affects us and we are driven into action. We see somebody wearing some kind of clothes, we also want to wear that kind of clothes. Now most of the advertisements have been moved to the children's channel because they have realized that in most houses cartoon channels are going on. So all the stuff comes up over there. And I have myself, the first ad comes, it's Horlicks, tada, I want this. The second one is on Bush, tada, I want this. Then the next ad comes, I want this. So for everything that happens, their minds are affected and they in turn pester the parents, buy it for me. Buy it for me. And this is what happens. The eye is the lamp. So the eye feeds your mind and emotion. Can you stop the media from doing what they're doing? No, I cannot stop them. They have to advertise, and there are people who will fall for it as a bakras they will become. Okay? But can you stop it from affecting your life, you and I? Yes. When we have the mind of Christ, when you have Jesus as a filter, He will stop you from seeing these things which can affect you. Today you have been pushed. Everybody tells you should have a relationship. It's the right thing. It's the right age. Can you stop yourself from having this kind of a relationship on your own? Never. But with Jesus, He can do it for you. Okay, I'm going to place before you a story from the Bible now. It's a story from the book of Genesis. And it's the story of Abraham and Lot. Here was Abraham and Lot who God had asked to move to a particular place. And they went to this place. And both of them prospered. Both of them kept on their property, what we would say, started growing. So much so, then there was a fight between the herdsmen of Abraham and the herdsmen of Lot. Both started fighting amongst one another. Then one day Abraham called a meeting with Lot and said, Lot, listen, God has given both of us enough. There is no need for us to fight. And he said, see, here is the entire land. If you go east, I will go west. If you go west, I will go east. Choose what you want. And so, Lot looked at the entire land. Okay? And see, this is what it says. Lot looked about him and saw that the plain of Jordan was well watered everywhere like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. So Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan and journeyed eastward. Now what does it say? Lot looked about him and what? Saw. Lot saw. Take the story of Adam and Eve. Eve saw that the fruit was good, and so she went for it. David saw Bathsheba. A desire was created in him. He went and committed adultery with her, and then finally it ended up in murder. So you see, everything is affected by the eye. And now we think Lot has made a good decision. When he sees over here, he sees that fertile land. He thinks he has made a very good decision. But I'm going to place something before you, and then I want you to think whether he made a right decision or not. The first thing, it thinks of greed and selfishness. The property, everything belonged to Abraham. Nothing belonged to Lot. He only accompanied his uncle. But here he was making the first choice. So he was greedy and he was selfish. He chose for him the best place. He should have given his uncle who was 90 years old, but instead he chose the best place and gave his uncle the worst place. And then the story goes on, it's a many chapters. It so happened one day God sent two men to this place, Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot lived. And when these men came, they told Lot, leave this place. But Lot, it says, stayed on in that place. He was not willing to give up this place. He was attached to this place. And rightly so, because his entire business was in that place. His heart had grown fond of that place. All his prosperity was happening in that place. And so much so that the angel of God had to carry him and take him out of the city. And the moment Lot came out of the city, God burned down those two cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And you know what happened? Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Into a pillar of salt. Lot was a righteous man, my dear boys and girls. He was a good person. He never broke any of the 10 commandments. But now you see all the other things that are happening. Then the other area we see is the area of lust. Now when Lot saw that property, his mind was working overtime. There is water over there. That means I will have grass. If I have grass, my cattle will graze. If my cattle graze well, they will give me good milk and I can make a lot of money. I will prosper in that place. And so he was thinking in that direction and he fell for that decision of his. He made a choice in selecting that place. But those cities were perverse cities. Thus in that place lived homosexuals. When these two men of God came to that village, the people of that village of that cities came to Lot and said, Lord, give us those two men so that we may enjoy them. And you know what God replied? He said, take my daughters instead. Take my daughters instead. Which father could give his daughters for the pleasure of the men of the city? So you see, the lust of that place has affected the mind of Lot. He has got into that culture where he can freely give even his daughters, and that's what is happening in the Western world today. Okay? Then what happens next? His daughters were affected. The daughters bore children through their father. Can you see the perversity that existed over there? How much even his daughters bore children through their father. And so we see all these things came up, and Lot was affected by culture. He lost his wealth, he lost his family, and he lost his children's morality. So what Lot thought was a good decision for him backfired, and Lot returned an empty lot. Okay? An empty lot. He received nothing in the end. He came nanga, as you would say. As God said, you are naked. You are naked. And that is exactly what happened of Lot. I have yet another story. This is of Joshua and Achan. I'm not going to go through it. But you can see the words that I have highlighted. When I saw, so their thoughts were affected. Okay? Then they coveted, they took it, and they hid it, and that is how God defeated the Israelites. It's good to share everything from the Bible, but I want to share with you what happened in my own life. Academically, I was very well off, always among the top rankers in school and college, and I never thought, I thought no end of myself. Always, wanted a lot of pride in me, and always thought of myself very highly. And there was this time God was, I found the Lord, and I gave up all my worldly ways. And then came a time when God was asking me to move from Kalina to Andheri. All my life I lived in Kalina, and God was asking me to Andheri. And then, like the choices that we had to make, I started weighing the pros and cons. Kalina was a beautiful place. Very central. You could go to Western Railway, Central Railway, Harbour Line, Bandra Terminus, Kurla Terminus, everything was central and very convenient. And when I looked at the place where God was calling me, it had nothing. There was nothing. And so I chose to stay on in Kalina. I was married, and again the call of the Lord came to me, move to Andheri. I chose not to move because my parents and my in-laws were also from Kalina and Bakola, so we stayed over there. And then my baby was to be born. The first one I was talking to you, he was to be born in September, July 9, 2003. When we were at work, the entire ceiling of my bedroom collapsed on the bed. We were at work, so nothing happened to us. And when I came home, I saw all the mess, and I said to myself, why did this happen? But instead of giving my life to God, I decided something else. I said, I will now pull down the entire plaster of my house, put new flooring to the house, and make my room chaka-chak for my baby when my baby comes. And that's what I did. 1.5 months I was at home, and I got the entire house renovated. We didn't have time because the baby was due any moment. And then my baby was born. We were all very happy. And when the baby came home, I was feeling so proud that I had, painted and made the house new. Flooring was new. Everything was good. 1 week after the baby was born, suddenly something that had never happened before in all those years, rats started running in the house. Big rats started running in the house. I never slept a single night. Every night the baby was on my lap because I was afraid the rats would bite my baby. And then there were red ants and bugs on the bed, and all sorts of things started happening in my life. And you may be thinking right now, God is a punishing God. As I said, we all have this thought, God is a punishing God. Do you think God was punishing me? God was not punishing me. Because He had already asked me to move out, I chose to stay in that place. And now, I was paying the price for my disobedience. What you sow is what you reap. I disobeyed God, and now I was receiving everything to the fullest. But God doesn't leave us like that. Once again in 2004, He said, come on now, move to Andheri. And then we made a decision to move into Andheri. The moment we made this decision, something wonderful happened in our lives. My wife's boss and my boss quit, and we had new bosses, and our salaries were blessed at that point of time. And every money that we received, we put to make the interiors of the house. We never stretched our hands to our parents to give us any kind of money. Only with our salaries, God provided. We still have the EMI, but God helped us with everything. And in 2006, we moved into this place. And as we were preparing to move into this place, I had a time of prayer with God, and I said, Lord, if you want me to move into Andheri, I want you to bless my wife with a job in Andheri. I want that. I want you to do that. It was like an order I was telling God. Because my wife worked in Fort, I am working in Thane. If anything would happen in Andheri, who would look after my baby? Just the three of us with a maid. And so here it was, she started applying for a job. And she got a call for a job in Kalina. Now that is where we were staying previously. And so I said, okay, she was going for that interview. And as I sat at home on a Saturday afternoon and she was going for that interview, I'm sitting with below the crucifix, and I'm praying, God, bless the interviewer, bless the room, bless the people who are there, bless her way, bless all the entire building, all the people who are there at that moment. You be over there in that room. And that time, God spoke to me very clearly at that time and telling me, if I am giving her a job in Andheri, why are you sending her here and there for a job? And so it became clear, God was providing for her a job in Andheri. And then came that time when God brought an opportunity for her in Andheri. And there it was when she had to resign from the previous company. And though it was like a group company, she still had to resign over there. But when she resigned, all her benefits were transferred to the new company. She got all those grades, all the leave was transferred to this new place. And you know the best part of it? The job she got is just 1.5 kilometers from our home. She can go anytime and come conveniently. We had 2 children after that. During the 6 months after she resumed from her maternity leave, she would come home, breastfeed the child, and get back to work. Which company can allow you today to do that? And how often would you get a job close to your home? This is what you get when you are obedient to God's moves. Okay? This is what happens when God gives you. Today you may have said, this college is good. This knowledge is good. Yes, it is good. But is it good for you? That's the question now. You may end up like Lot. Your culture, your morality, everything can be affected. It's good. But is it good for you is a question you need to ask. When you go up, you grow on, you may say, this job is good. It's going to give me a high salary. True, it will give you a high salary. But do you know you will have to work 20 hours for that job? They will suck the blood out of you and leave nothing in your life for you to enjoy. You have got a high salary. Your focus is finance. Your focus is position. You got it. But your other life is affected. Today, we come across people who are getting married and so many people who are coming and complaining. What are the choices that they are making? The girls are looking, the boys are looking for hot babes and the girls are looking for cool guys. Hot babes and cool guys, and then they are married and then now you have to keep the baby hot. So you have to fund that, clothes and cosmetics. So the men complain, all money is going to clothes and cosmetics. Then the women, my husband is cool. He doesn't do anything at home. He's sitting at home doing nothing. Cool. And he come home, straight away takes a chilled beer or a chilled Johnny Walker and he's drinking. Then Johnny can't walk. And that is the choice we have made. Who pays for it? Your marriage is gone. Your marriage life is over. And this is what the choices we are making. So be careful as I'm sharing this with you. I'm asking you to think deep. Don't think at a shallow level of thinking what you want by just looking at the external. I was listening one day to FM radio and this girl came up and these reality chats that they have. And this girl was asked, she said, लड़के को काम ठीक रहेगा तो भी चलेगा लेकिन लड़का हटके दिखना चाहिए. लड़का हटके दिखना चाहिए. I don't know what she was going to do after that लड़का was looking hut. One day he would say hut to her only. Yeah. So you see the choices that we make, and you see this in the life of Abraham and Lot, and what I have shared with you. So don't go by these externals. You may think you have got a boy who is well qualified, who has got a lot of money, but these are externals, and they will all go. See this slide up here. This is something that they taught us in the seminary when we studied the Bible. And this Derek just shared with me that this was also the reading of today. You cannot serve God and money. You're not talking about serving God and devil. You're talking about serving God and wealth. And this is a clear theme that comes up in every verse in the Bible. Obey and prosper, disobey and perish. Can you all say that with me? Obey and prosper, disobey and perish. Write it down in your books if you all want to know about it, because when you are obedient to God, God will bless. But the moment you disobey, all kinds of things happen which will not be very encouraging. Okay, obey and prosper, disobey and perish. Now how do we make these choices? Just as I said, how do we make these godly choices? The first thing is you need to have a continual prayer life. The moment you are cut off from God, you are in the powers of the evil one. Okay? Continual prayer life, the first one. The continual prayer life. This is usually a long talk that we have, another session that we have, but we don't have it for you. But this is where you develop a personal relationship with God. Wait on God, spend time in prayer. Okay, so continual prayer life. The second, wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. Today we have become a press button generation. Okay, you press the button, tea comes out. You press the light comes on. Everything happens quickly, and we want everything here and now, just now. That doesn't work with God that way. We need to work. When you wait, see the result of this. What's written. What no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the human heart conceived, what God has prepared for those who love Him. Very clear words from the God. You have to wait on the Lord. You have to spend time. You are getting married. Lord, tomorrow I'm getting married. Is this boy right or wrong? No. You have a choice to make now. You have all selected arts, science and commerce. Now in science, whether you should go for engineering, whether you should go for medical, or whether you should continue with the science stream, you have a choice today. Ask the Lord, because when He helps you, when He identifies an area for you, He will help you in that direction. Now you must be seeing those words HALT over there. They're very important words. The H stands for hunger. When you are hungry, never make a decision. Never make a decision when you are angry, because that time your blood has started to speak and you're boiling inside and your decisions again will falter. Never make a decision when you are lonely. There was this actress a few months back, she gave up her life because she had messed up and she was all by herself and she gave up her life. She was lonely. And finally, the T stands for trial. So hungry, angry, lonely and trials. When you are going through circumstances, you may think this situation looks good, this one looks good, and you jump into it. Okay, so wait on the Lord. The third, ask God whether this is the right decision that you are making. Ask God. And He will let you know. Speak to a spiritually active person, go to your parish priest or someone whom you know is active, and he will guide you whether the decision that you're taking. Don't take decisions on your own, because our decisions can be clouded. We think we know everything. You know, one thing everybody's complaint is today's children have knowledge, but they lack wisdom. They have knowledge because everybody is on Google and they think they can find every solution to all their problems in Google. And I can only tell you, you will be Googled in life. Okay, your life will be a mess. Never make this mistake of searching the internet for your answers. Ask God, ask someone senior. Don't take things into your own hand. And finally, the last step in this is act accordingly. I told you when God was asking me to move to Andheri, I had to move, but now I have to move. I have to show that I'm moving, I have to do something. So you have to do it. Many of us develop cold feet over here. And now you see what has happened.